Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started on the last session in here for the afternoon. Today we have Daphne Brown from Duncan Parnell. She's going to be talking about leveraging dashboards for a quick overview of operations.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. This is my first time at this conference, and thank you all for your time today and joining me. I'm really excited to also be around a GIS group. This is a cornerstone of my educational background. I went to Appalachian State, majored in geography, got my certification in GIS, and now with Duncan Parnell, I work with a lot of utilities. So being in a room where I feel most comfortable from learning in those water industries really on the fly to get a better understanding of what they're doing and how we're able to best serve them. So we do at Duncan Parnell a lot of different work with a lot of different groups. So municipalities that need their utilities mapped, environmental groups that are doing wetland delineation, engineering firms, these are all just different examples. So it's a lot of different things to pick from. But I've really found my happy place working with utilities. It's been a great journey. So today I'm going to talk to you some about a specific workflow that we went through with an organization and how they were able to leverage dashboards to see what was going on with their operations. And I think it really dovetails well from the presentation that we had at lunchtime of talking about being able to see those metrics in real time, being able to present and show what you're doing out in the field and that productivity. So we'll get to that. But yeah, over the last 3.5 years at Duncan Parnell, I've found that working with these utilities, there's not a one-size-fits-all magic solution. That everyone is different, everyone's got different hardware and software that is gonna make a difference of what's gonna work best for them. So my hope today is that by showing you how these dashboards work, maybe something you can implement in your own instance. And the key thing that all of these organizations have, that eventually all of this data is ultimately going back to GIS. So everyone has that in common. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So I saw this meme while on LinkedIn when I was procrastinating working on this presentation, and I thought it was perfect for what I'm talking about today, that everyone wants to see the really cute, nice dashboard, but then there's scary stuff underneath. And I think everyone has their own scary stuff at your organization. And that's what I want to go through from working with different groups. I do a lot of training and support, so we'll go on site and work with different groups. A lot of feedbacks and trends that I've seen over the years is, that you have all of these assets, and it's a lot to manage. And over time, you might have some questionable data. That's what I run into a lot of, that especially people coming to us with hardware, that they have hardware from maybe 10 years ago, that maybe a summer intern collected that points, there's no metadata attached to it, and we don't know the validity of that data. Another big issue with data that we have is data silos. And being able to break down those data silos is something that, one of the main parts of my job that I really enjoy, being able to make sure that everyone is able to see that information, so it's not too fragmented or that data isn't super outdated. So everyone's going to manage that differently, but it can lead to a lot of uncertainty, and that needs to be addressed. Another big issue that I've seen in the utility space, and this is probably across all workspaces, is employee turnover. So a lot of organizations that we are working with can be hesitant to adopt technical solutions because, okay, we have someone that can manage that right now, but if they leave, then that knowledge leaves with them, and now we just spent money on a solution, and how are we going to keep managing that? So being able to roll out a solution that can be spread across multiple people, it's easy to pick up and understand. Obviously, there's still a learning curve, but again, that kind of ties in with breaking down those data silos, that the more this can be spread out amongst other people, the more people that are informed, so it's not as reliant on that key personnel leaving. And like we talked about at lunch, there is an increased demand for transparency that stakeholders and decision makers want access to visual representation of what's going on, and they want it now. So being able to provide those metrics as needed is it can be a challenge if you don't have that data to begin with. So yeah, just having that lack of data, the turnover, it culminates to kind of that scary stuff that we saw on the last slide. So the group that I worked with is Consolidated Utility District. So they are out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It's about 45 minutes south of Nashville. And they serve over 65,000 residential and commercial accounts. And they reach a pretty big customer base of 160,000 people. In their network, they've got 25,000 valves and 6,000 hydrants. So they were facing a lot of challenges of managing existing locations, making sure that those existing GPS locations were correct, they're going to the right location, they have that information they need, and then they, associated with those existing valves and hydrants, both need to be inspected. So that's a lot of data to be keeping track of. So they really needed a way to have a robust system that was gonna manage this. So when we started working with them, they were already using ArcGIS Pro and ArcGIS Online, Enterprise for their geoprocessing, their versioning, their web mapping. That was where all of their data was living, and they already had a really robust GIS system, which was great. But now we're running into the data is in ArcGIS, and then our field crew was out in the field, and they were using the valve walks machine to exercise their valves. So for those inspections, the valve truck, for anyone that's not familiar, that is able to connect to the valve, exercise it, and then that can Bluetooth to a tablet to populate the form data that's associated with it. But at this time, they had their GIS data in one application, and then they had their valve data in another. So team is out in the field, they've got this great information that's coming through, but it wasn't tied into their GIS. So to break that down, we implemented Trimble Unity Work Management. That has the capability to Bluetooth connect to the valve walks machine, and also has the capability to go back in and connect with ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. So Trimble Unity facilitates a bidirectional data flow between the two applications, and then it's able to communicate with the hardware out in the field. So with that, with this process, now data was able to seamlessly go from a GIS to the field user and make it a lot more seamless. So that was a great first step. So to be able to do that, once that data was brought in from the feature service layer from ArcGIS Online into Trimble Unity, they were then able to take that feature service and build forms. So rather than having paperwork order that someone fills out, they could then go ahead and drag and drop forms to fill out in the field on a mobile application. And what I really liked about this, and why I picked to talk about this, the person that I was primarily working with, Mark Lee, he is the valve operations foreman, and he does not have a GIS background. He would be the first one to tell you that he is not very technical. And in this workflow, he was able to touch the GIS in a way that the GIS team was comfortable that nothing was going to get messed up because it wasn't in their, going back to their feature service layer. It was able to be manipulated in Unity, and then the fields they want back to GIS, they were able to turn those on and off. So it gave Mark freedom to be able to build out what he needed for his field crew, and he knew what they were looking for, and then that data would be able to get sent back. But democratizing across the organization that ability so that they're not relying on the GIS team, and being able to spread that out across a couple other people has been really helpful for them. So once he had those forms, so rather than giving someone a work order, now it's all digital. He was able to have this workflow where from the map, the web map that he had in Trimble Unity, he could click on those assets, assign them, it creates the work order in the mobile app, the field can go out, collect the information, That syncs, goes back to the web map in Unity, and then he can review that information, and then once it's reviewed, send that over to, then it would go and send to his GIS. But it's also keeping a separate record of those inspections that they were doing. So it was a great way for them to be able to manage what was going on. So Mark Lee, the valve foreman, was primarily working in Trimble Unity. And then on the other side of things, I was working with their GIS team to create this dashboard here. And this dashboard, dashboard is now in 2 weeks will be officially 3 years old. We worked with them a couple years ago, and it's still working really well for them. And it's a great opportunity for when Mark is in a presentation or meeting with different people that he would need to be showing their productivity out in the field. He doesn't need to pull a spreadsheet or pull reports or compile data. He can sign into his ArcGIS Online, open up his web map, and he's able to see these data points. So we have the number of valves that they had inspected, their hydrants, and then on the side here it's a bit blurry, but he had some KPIs of average torque, size, different features. And then in that top corner, I think you might be able to see it better here. We've got hydrant selected, but in that top corner, being able to select by date was really helpful, so he can see, okay, in the last month, how many valves did we exercise, what was the average torque, and going back to the idea of that employee turnover and being able to prove your worth and prove what funding you might need, being able to show this is how much work we were able to complete with this crew going forward. This is what it's going to need to maintain that same level of productivity. So it's a great way to have those key metrics. And here's just another example of this was with that date filter, so they could see how many they had done in a certain span of time. Another helpful piece of this map that you can't see as well since it's so zoomed out is with those valves getting exercised and those hydrants being inspected, they had a filter or a change in their symbology. So it was really easy for everyone to be able to very clearly see, look at the map, and if it was blue, it's been exercised or inspected recently. If it was not blue, that means it needed some attention. So it was a great way for Mark to be able to quickly look at operations across the board, know where he's planning out his next section of work orders to complete, and to go from there. So implementing this workflow took a lot of collaboration from the GIS team, field users, and I commend them for their effort and undertaking. Like I mentioned, they've been now successfully using this workflow for 3 years and still referencing the same dashboard. So once that, once we've got through this process of establishing it, they're now able to see these KPIs on demand. So I know a lot of people in this room have access to ArcGIS Online, so my encouragement would be to explore different ways that you can work with different departments to maybe, if there's something that can be helpful for them to be able to show quickly, could be a great opportunity to have that collaboration together. So yeah, no matter where you are in your asset management journey, this is a great option for you. And I'm happy to answer any questions now. I know I'm a bit early on time, but yeah, thank you all, and yeah, how can I help? Yeah.
This is fantastic. Do the rest of the crew also have access to that? So
Yes.
Could they like turn on, hey, this is where I specifically?
Yes. So that's all in Trimble Unity. They can sign in and they can filter by when those work orders were completed, by who. You can have all of those metrics associated in there. You can turn layers on and off. It's a very similar look to in ArcGIS Online, but it's in a way that makes everyone feel more comfortable that nothing's going to get, deleted. Yeah. I didn't want to offend anyone. I'm one myself, but this is my data. That's yours. Don't mess it up. This is just a dashboard in ArcGIS Online.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was actually on Enterprise. Sorry, I keep using those interchangeably.
It was on Enterprise, I thought that was.
But it works with both ArcGIS Online and Enterprise. Mhm.
Does Trimble Unity allow photos as well?
Yes, so I didn't include that, but yes, you can have those attachments and either uploading a PDF, so if there was something that needed a signature of a field worker, have that attachment, that can go back to your GIS, and same with, I didn't mention, being able to update your location as well. So both of attachments and being able to update that geometry are available.
I have a question. What about security? If you're worried that maybe, I don't know, is this data could be used for nefarious purposes or anything like that? Are your customers worried about that or anything you do for security reasons?
So all of this is at a shared at an organization level. So this isn't public data. So they haven't expressed concerns of, are you referring to the single sign-on part of Trimble Unity? Or just overall?
Yeah, overall.
Mhm.
As this gets deployed more and more, you're democratizing, but you're giving this data to more and more people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe employees or other things like that may could damage it or do
Mhm.
some damage. So is that a concern to anybody or is that really addressed?
On the natural gas side, there is definitely a much greater concern. From the water utilities that I've worked with, that hasn't been something that I've encountered as much. Trimble has done a lot, though, to be able to, and I'm sure I can follow up with you on the specs and security as well. But on the natural gas side, I know there's a big push, and with, with being able to have your IT set up and prepared for that. So it does make, on the natural gas side, some concerns, but I can follow up with you on those specs.
Broken gas lines a lot more dangerous than
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
So, he's using that off AGOL, so is the login you gave him an AGOL-based login or is it enterprise login?
It could be either one. So this was a enterprise login, or so yes.
I
So
just wondered how they were added, because I know you can configure it differently, I just wondered how it was configured.
so they, and I'm not sure what version they have of their enterprise, but they were able to do that. Mhm.
That's very.
Trimble Unity seems a lot like ArcGIS field maps.
Mhm.
A lot of, I work for council government, and they use ArcGIS field maps a lot as well. What's the benefit of using Trimble Unity versus field maps?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So one of the biggest differences is Trimble Unity focuses on work management solutions. So ArcGIS Field Maps is a great way to go out and collect data. The focus of Trimble Unity is the work management piece of being able to have workflows that are specifically set up for inspection. It has the integration with the valves walks truck. It has other integrations with sensors, and it's has a focus on the work order aspect and how to manage that. So similar capabilities, but that work order piece where you're having that metadata and just a place to store it. Anyone else? Alrighty, well, thank you all so much for your time.